Hello. How's that? Is that better? No more highlight back there? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Are you ready to present your findings?
Yeah.
This will probably be the biggest Zoom we've had this semester because it's mandatory. I'm just admitting folks as they come through the window here, so just bear with me. Whoop. This is not a terribly big group, but I guess many of you are representing for the entire team. Is that correct?
Yeah, I know all of the group members couldn't make it today.
Okay. Turn up my volume and make sure I can hear you. All right, well, we'll give it another couple of minutes, I guess, to give any late comers a chance to log in here. And then we will begin. Let's see here. Okay. What I'm going to try and do, folks, is just take a few notes while we're doing this. If you would, before you present for your group, if you would just give me your topic and tell me the people that are in your group so I can compare those to the Excel file and make sure that everybody gets the appropriate grade for their group work, okay?
Okay.
All righty. I'm going to give it about 2 more minutes and then we'll start at 5 minutes after. I have 3:03 by my clock, so. And I guess what I'm going to have to do, so you all should have your slide presentations at the ready. So as you present, I will make you a co-host or a co-presenter so that you can take control of the screen and you can show us your slide presentations, okay? Okay. Another minute and I think we'll be ready to go here. Looks like we've got 15 folks. That's about right. If you're I think we have 15 total groups. So are you each presenting for your group or are some of you in the same group together and you're just here to co-present?
A few of us are for the same group.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
same with my group.
That's fine. That's totally fine. I know
Yeah,
some people had some obligations, some prior obligations, and it wasn't convenient for them to come today. So that's okay. What's up, Sean?
I said Karlyn and I are going to be representing together.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, I've got 305, and I think that probably everybody who wants to be here is here. So what I'd like to do is, and I am recording, by the way, and that'll help me to go back. Anything that I miss in my note taking, help me evaluate the rubric and give you guys your grades. Has anybody got a pressing need to go first, or is anybody willing to step up and break the ice for us here this afternoon?
I don't mind.
Oh, we have multiple people on the first, yeah.
But it's just so I don't have a pressing need, but it is storming by my house, and my internet has been known to be spotty as of late. So
Yeah, me too. In fact, the thunder's going off over my head as we speak. So you know what? I mean, if it all falls apart, it is what it is. And I'll figure out a way to forge ahead by simply looking at your slideshows. But David, if your group is ready and you want to present, just give me who's in your group.
my group is Sophia Graciak, myself, David Kreider, Jessica Reck, and Michael Schaefer.
Jessica Reck with a W. Reck with a
Reck is RECK.
R-E, right. And who? I'm sorry, who was the other?
Michael Schaefer.
Oh, Mike. Okay.
Professor
And-
Walsh,
Yes, ma'am.
can my group go next?
Yes. Who's speaking? I can't see.
Darian Haberland.
Oh, Darian, sure. Okay. What I'm going to do. Oh, what's your topic, David?
A genre film festivals.
Film Fest. Okay. Okay, great. All right, let me go ahead and make you a co-presenter here so you can give us your slideshow.
Real fast. I don't know if how many groups there are, but if I can get next in line, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we've got Darian's group has asked to go second. Do you want to go third?
Yes, please.
Sure thing, Kody. Let's do that. I'll put you on my little sheet here.
Thanks.
And then I'll ask you all those other questions when you're ready to go. Okay, so David, what you'll have to do is go to the navigation at the bottom of your Zoom window pane and select share your screen, and then you can show us your slide presentation that way.
Excellent. Let me do that. Is everybody able to see this?
Yes.
Looks good.
Radio.
Perfect. I think I'm just going to keep it in this format, or hold on, am I able to? Good. All right. So me and my group covered genre film festivals. Specifically, we covered horror as our genre of choice. We were all big horror fans in general, and obviously it being around the time, it seemed appropriate. So as we move in, our very first film festival that we looked at was the ever popular the New York City Horror Film Festival, abbreviated as the NYCHFF. Now, the horror festival, the New York City Horror Film Festival, is an annual one that takes place over the course of 4 days every November. Is established by Michael J. Hine, who is a director and producer of his own company, established in 2001, and is now an international film festival, screening upwards of 50 films, up to 60 films every year. And they have 17 award categories, including sci-fi and comedy categories. So the sci-fi categories being one for feature and short film, same for comedy, one for feature and short film. So both of those are kind of still wrapped in the horror genre, but for the most part, there's a lot of leniencies from what we understand. Next, it takes place obviously in November, but this year it will be from December 2nd to 9th due to some COVID and scheduling conflicts that occurred. Now, usually it happens in person, but once again, because of COVID this year, it'll be held virtually. Now, all the year's deadlines have passed for this year, but next year's submissions are available under their website under the filmmakers tab. And in the bottom left, I've left the website link there for people if anybody wants to type that down for a moment. Overall, this is a rather large film festival, and compared to like some of the others on our group on our list, but one of them that's rather popular and consistently happening. So if anybody needs these websites at the end, please feel free to let me know, and I will also put those in the chat or send them your way.
You
So-
can pop it in the chat right now if you want to, or if you have one of your team members can do it for you.
Perfect. Michael is here, I believe. If he wants to pull those together, it'd be great. Next is the Popcorn Frights Film Festival. This is the largest genre film festival in the Southeast United States. So this is not just horror genre, but genres in general. So like even if they're specific like comedy or anything, this is the largest genre film festival. Established in 2015, and they accept a wide range of categories from short films to animation and even just videos. Now they are a bit smaller, having 7 awards, including 2 Audience Choice Awards, and but they do pull in an audience of over 6,000 as of was their 2018 record. Now the film festival takes place in August from 11th to the 18th in 2022, and the final deadline to submit for this will be on July 8th, 2022. Now, this one actually takes place in Florida, at Savior Cinema, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I forgot to put Florida there, but so it is rather large. And the film, the details for submission are the film must be completed after January 2021, must be a Florida premiere for any short or feature, meaning that it must be the first time, whether digitally or in person, that your film is being shown at a festival. And it must be submitted through their website, which once again, the bottom left is listed there, popcornfrights.com. Another big thing about Popcorn Frights is that it is host to a lot of major studios who have representatives who attend this film festival, from Warner Brothers and a few others that I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do have that comprehensive list if anybody is curious. And then moving on, we have another Florida-based film festival, and it's actually based here in Orlando. It's called Spooky's Empire Horror Film Festival. Actually took place just this past weekend, but it shows a lot of independent and short, independent feature-length and short films from around the world. It is an international film festival, and it has a host of different genres, from horror, supernatural, sci-fi, allowing animation, thriller, suspense, cult experimental, and documentary. The documentary films must be horror related. No documentaries about your grandmother, but they do have 7 awards that they give out. Now, this is a rather large and popular one. So there's 15,000 guests, including celebrities and industry professionals. And there is a host of panels. Even some of UCS professors attend and will either host or be on panels. There's a popular horror filmmaker here on campus is Professor Beckler, Zachary Beckler. He was there this past weekend and was host on 3 different panels, one of which was his own making. And then they also have 3 categories for submission in this one. So obviously they have all their genres available, but you can go micro, short, and feature. And so it obviously just happened this past weekend, which would be October 22nd to 24th. And they have not announced their date for the 2022 Film Festival. They have not announced the exact dates as of yet, but it took place at the Hyatt Regency Orlando here in Florida. And their regular deadline for the film festival is the August before. So in this scenario, it would have been August of 2021, but they have a late deadline that they have in September, although obviously it's recommended that you would submit by August. And you can submit through their website / a film freeway link that they have on their website, which you can see down below. It's spookyempire.com. If you're specifically looking for the film festival, we do have that URL is right there. Now, so those are our 3 that we researched. Obviously, we had a couple of options to pursue. We did have an honorable mention that we wanted to talk about real quick. It's the Underground Indie Film Festival. Now, we didn't find enough information that we wanted to cover on this one. So so we kind of left it to this honorable mention section, but it takes place in Apopka. The festival is in the summer on June 18th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Orlando. And it's a small festival that really hyper prioritizes independent work. They're not looking for these massive budget things. They really want your no budget films that you made in your back closet to be shown at these films, right? It's rather small, and there's a link to the website there for anybody else who's interested for the Underground Indie Film Festival. And now, obviously, coming to the big question of why is a horror genre film festival important to you? Why does this matter, especially if you don't make horror film festivals or make horror films? And so what we saw is that it's important to see that these film festivals, while focusing on horror, does not mean it's all blood and guts. There was a lot of categories involving thriller or cult and even experimental films. So while you may not view your film as horror, it may very well be a sci-fi or have some elements of a thriller and maybe qualifying for some of these festivals. And knowing that these festivals could potentially screen your movie gives a bit more options for you to apply to when it comes to festival season and when you're trying to get your film out there. Now, how does this apply practically? Like, obviously, not everyone has a movie available. And what does this mean? And so whether you have a film ready or in the idea stage, attending these events can obviously be a great networking potential to make important connections. But one of the things is that with some of these, they're especially Florida-based ones, we have a real passionate film crowd because we're not like a film city in that sense, right? Like, we're not LA, we're not New York. So you have a lot of really people who are very interested in film but aren't necessarily as connected to the industry. But one of the things is you don't know what local enthusiasts might be around. I put the phrase foaming at the mouth to let you use their location to film or give you some funding to see your film up there next year. I was thinking a lot about the one held in Apopka, the Underground Indie Film Festival, especially these smaller ones. They're going to be really close knit and there's not going to be a lot of people. So people will be coming year over year, and it may be a thing that they enjoy coming to see the horror films every year if they're a big horror fan. So there's a lot of opportunities to make professional relationships and also relationships to make with potential people that may want to help you in making your movie. So that comes to the end of our presentation, but that kind of, I'll stop sharing for now. But yeah, overall, I think the horror film festivals have a lot to offer, and it's not something to immediately dismiss if you're not a horror fan. Does anybody have any questions, or Professor, any questions?
I do, but I'll table mine until the quorum is satisfied with their questions being answered. If anyone has something for David, please go ahead and offer that up now. Okay, and if not, I was just curious. So David, are you classifying this research project as your genre or niche film festivals or as a regional film festivals analysis?
We when we picked it, we did a genre / niche film festivals, but we did end up wanting to provide good information for a lot of us who are Florida based. So we ended up with a couple different Florida film festivals, and funny enough, a lot of the big ones happen to be hosted in Florida. So
okay, and you're finding that the prevailing number of film festivals here in Florida are still not quite face-to-face. Is that the case, or did you find that some of them were meeting face-to-face and some were still online?
We found that it was for Florida particularly, that there was a majority of them are face-to-face. The New York City one was the only one that was limited to virtual, which, while a limitation for New York, is a bit of a plus for us, meaning that you can purchase tickets and view it yourself from home, even though it is a virtual because of the nature of it being a virtual festival. But for all of Florida, they were all in-person festivals.
Okay. In your perusing of the materials, did you find adequate information as far as submission formats and submission criteria? And the one that you mentioned that was online, I noticed you said the films are submitted through the website. So did that limit your types of submission formats or your submission documents in any way?
I didn't notice any, or actually, we didn't notice any. My teammates were the ones who researched the New York City film festival, but I didn't notice any restrictions. Everything was really well laid out on everyone's website. A digital submission was the primary way of submission for a majority of these festivals. I believe some of them had mail-in options or potentially, I don't know what other options were available, but predominantly we saw online submissions when it came to these film festivals.
Yeah, I would be curious to know how many film festivals anymore are still accepting physical media, or are they just requiring that you send them a DCP to a website, for instance?
Yeah, I can't speak to any of the ones that we found. All of them were submitted online, but I would also be curious to see what sort of restrictions or what things are arising because of that.
Yeah, surely would. I remember my most recent film festival experience was 2009. So that's I'm not a big film festival advocate, but I know that there was a variety of media that we had the opportunity to submit on. So it was kind of confusing in those days because certain media present better than others depending on what kind of venue you're looking at, what kind of projection system. So it's interesting now that they're all going with digital file submission, and then you really kind of don't know what your what your final presentation mechanics are going to look like until you get there, I guess, huh? As far as what kind of projection, what kind of equipment they're using, and so forth.
Yeah, that's not really anything that's detailed. I suppose you could, knowing the locations of these, you could call ahead and see what kind of what halls they use and what systems that those the locations have, at least the ones that are indoors, like the ones that are taking up hotels.
So you definitely don't want to submit blind. It's probably a good idea to call ahead and talk to somebody in charge of festival coordination and find out exactly how your material is going to be presented. Would you recommend that?
I certainly would. If you're trying to maximize your efficiency when it comes to which festivals you're submitting to, you don't want to be submitting to a festival where the presentation of your film is not going to present it well, especially on some of these where they require a Florida premiere. You don't want to be premiering your film on a poor format for your film in particular.
Right. Absolutely. Great. I want to offer out to the group again an opportunity to ask any questions of David before we move on. No? Okay, you must have done a terrific job, David, because there are no questions at this time. So we want to move on, I suppose, to Darian and her group. Are you ready, Darian?
Yes.
And can you confirm your team members for me?
Let me pull up. Sorry, I was looking for the names. Jamaica Sampson, myself, Nala Ellie, and Natasha Churian.
Natasha. Alrighty, and your topic is
International film festivals.
international festivals. Okay, very good. Just as a sidebar, I know that there were a couple of groups that asked to do the same topic as some other groups, and because we ran out of topics, essentially I gave the go-ahead. Just in case we hear a redundant presentation, that would be the reason why. Are you presenting on your own, Darian, or do you have anybody from your group here present? I'm looking down the list. I don't see any. Oh, Natasha's here.
Natasha's here, yes.
Okay. Okay. If you're ready, I will share my screen. I don't know if I can make two of you co-hosts. Let me try. Let's see what we do here. See if I can do that. Okay. I think I can only do one of you at a time. So which one of you would like to start? Would you like to start, Darian?
Yeah, I have the presentation in front of me.
You do? Okay. All right, then I will make you the, oh, it still says you have it. So see if you can share your screen at this point. Yeah, there you go. Go down on the toolbar at the bottom. There you go.
Can you guys see it?
We can. Can you make it a little bit bigger? Is there a,
Oh, sorry.
there we go.
There we go. Okay. Everyone can see it, okay?
Looks good.
Awesome. Natasha, are you ready?
Yes, yes, I'm ready.
Awesome. So yeah, our group did international film festivals. So we're going to be going over 3 different festivals. And first we're going to start with Jeonju.
Okay, so Jeonju, it's an international film festival. It's held in South Korea. It launched in 2000, and it's really dedicated to showcasing independent filmmaking and alternative styles of film. And it's a great networking experience for international filmmakers. It's their biggest category. And they also have a cinema project affiliated with them. It's all about film financing and the production that goes into it financially. It also includes entries all year round, and it also runs from April 29th to May. And it showcases 193 films from 48 countries. And they also have a lot of people who view them online. They have 13,000 people who view them online for the festival. 26,000 people in attendance. And the applications for the next festival opens in late November of this year. And the images on the slide, it's from Jamaica, and these are pictures from her pen pal from South Korea who recently visited the festival. And these are just some pictures that this is an interactive game on the bottom right that they included for the audience.
So the next festival is the Annecy International Animation Film Festival. So starting off with what the festival is about, this International Film Festival showcases creativity and achievement in animation. So if you have an animated film that you want to start putting out in festivals, this is one of the top festivals to go to. It takes place every year in Annecy, France. The festival originated in 1960, and they decided to hold it biannually just to give a little bit of variation, because usually film festivals are held annually. They made the decision early on, to hold it every other year just to try and make it a little bit different. And then in 1997, the badge holders or the members of the festival held a vote, and they decided to bring the festival annually just because of demand, and a lot of people were applying, so they wanted to try and make it more often. So now it recurs every year in the month of June, usually about the second weekend. They're pretty consistent about the dates, which is good. So for submission details, what I saw on their website, the registration is free, which is amazing. So you guys can submit if you have an animated film or you know somebody who has it. It's free, so you don't have to worry about that. There's multiple categories you can go into. They have short films, graduation films, TV films, commissioned films, feature films, and even VR work. So depending on what category you're going for depends on when your deadline is. So registration just opened this month, and you can submit as late as April 6th. Now, partnered with this film festival is the International Animation Film Market, and this market is partnered with the festival, and it provides multiple learning opportunities, including networking, different events that you can go to, screenings, conferences, guest lecture seminars, and this is online and in person. So they also offer opportunities for students around the world. We can't all drop our hats and go over to hop, skip, and jump over to France. So if you want to do it right from your computer, they have opportunities for online screenings, and you get to speak to these mentors one-on-one and just learn from them, which is awesome. Some stats from last year: the total films submitted was more than 2,700 films, And I think if I remember correctly, it was somewhat over 12,000 hours of screening time, which is a lot. It's incredible. They had 85 online market events, 74 festival events, and 240 on-site screenings. So the pictures off to the left are images from last year's festival. I think it was held around June 10th, June 12th, if I remember correctly. So they had everybody there. They had this is their award ceremony. And the pictures at the bottom are stills from some of the pieces that won crystals that year. So the crystal is the highest award you can get. For a lot of the categories, you can also be nominated for something called the jury award or jury distinctions. Depending on what category you enter, depends on what prizes you're up for. So every category gets a crystal. I think VR was the only one that you could only win a crystal. There was no jury distinction or jury award. But for short films and for feature films, there's also the audience award. So depending on their feedback, you can also you can also possibly receive that. And for short films, I can't remember the name of who it's named after, but there's also an award for if it's your first short film, you can be nominated for that award as well. So, and it's all explained in their submission details online. So depending on your category, depends on what you're up for.
Okay, so the next film festival that we researched, it's the Berlin International Film Festival, or the Berlinale. It is originally created in 1951, and it's held every February in Berlin, and it's one of the most popular international film festivals. It has a lot of people in attendance every year. And right now on the website, they have entries going on. For feature-length films, the deadline is November 3rd of next month. For short films, it's the 17th and the 24th. And every year they showcase more than 400 films of different genres and lengths in Berlin. And it's very important. From the research that we did, it's definitely one of the bigger ones. It's a really good opportunity for independent filmmakers to showcase their work. One of the most prestigious awards that they give at this festival, there's a picture on the right side. It's the Golden Bear. It's the biggest award of the night, and they also give out the Silver Bear to production and writing, and it's a really big festival there in Berlin that's held. It's also held in the Potsdamer Platz 11, and tickets will also be on sale soon if you guys want to go. So yeah.
And the last slide is what can be learned. We decided to focus on two main things that you can take away from international festivals. The first of which being, there are so many international film festivals around the world that we don't know of and that we're still eligible to apply for. So even though we're still students and we're still learning, you can take your short films, you can take your student projects, and you can apply all over the world. Of course, you want to make sure you're reading the guidelines and make sure that your film qualifies for whatever genre you're going for. And of course, you want to make sure it's an international festival, so you can make sure you're staying within the guidelines. But you can take your short films that you've made in the past, something you're working on now, as long as it fits in those guidelines, then you're good to go. And that brings us to the next point, that festivals are also networking events. The more places you can screen your film, the more networking you can do. And because networking is so big in the film industry and everything goes by word of mouth, the more you can advertise yourself and the more you can advertise your work leads to connections, leads to friendships, leads to possibly working on other people's film sets. If you go out to an international festival and you pitch your idea to someone and they like it and they want to come on board, that's somebody who can help you create your project. I know personally for me, like, I want to travel in this industry, and by going to these international festivals, you can make contacts across the world, and it only helps you in the sense that if somebody calls you out and is like, hey, do you want to go and film something in Germany? You have a contact there and you can get on projects, and that'll help you travel. So, and then we just had a page dedicated to works cited and where we got our information from.
Terrific. That's a great slide to have. What do you think, folks? Any questions from the gallery at this point?
I think that was pretty good.
Darian, what made you pick these specific festivals? I know the Korean one was partly, I guess, a personal concern to one of your group members. What made you pick the one in France and the one in Berlin?
I know the Berlin one is also a really popular international film festival, so definitely getting that information out to students was really important. If people are looking for more places to submit, we want to start big, and if you find one festival in Berlin, then I'm sure if you keep researching, there's more smaller festivals, then you're more comfortable looking in and researching more, looking for that. For the one in Annecy, I wanted to look for something a little bit, I want to look obviously somewhere else and look at different film festivals, but I thought it was really cool that they had one, an international festival dedicated to animation. And I love animated films. I love watching that kind of content. And even though I haven't created it myself, I still liked researching it, looking it up and seeing how big of an event it is. And again, same thing is I can now do more research into festivals in France and around the surrounding areas.
Interesting. So a couple of points that I wanted to mention. Did you, how many festivals did you actually look into before you decided on these three?
I'm trying to remember the other ones that we looked at. I know I was looking at like the Miami International Festival, Toronto International Festival. Those are the two that are coming to mind right now.
Yeah, Toronto's a pretty big one on the international circuit, but I'm curious just how many folks know, and I'm just putting this out there as an observation, how many of you realize that a lot of the local festivals now are announcing themselves as international festivals. And for instance, a couple of weeks back, we had in our weekly meeting, Gene Kruckmeyer from the Love Your Shorts Film Festival in Sanford, and his festival is listed as an international film festival, even though it takes place right in your backyard here in Sanford, Florida. And he was talking about having submissions from all over the world. 60 countries, I think, was a number that he was boasting in conversation, which is pretty impressive for a festival that you would think was a small local tradition here in Florida. But in actuality, his scope and his reach is quite far and wide. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to Berlin to have your material seen by international participants, because in many cases, it could be the reality could be that you could have members of the Berlin film community visiting Central Florida and submitting at something like Save Your Shorts or Love Your Shorts. I'm sorry. So I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that. A lot of film festivals now, because of the digital technology and FTP servers and Dropbox and a number of different Google Drive and assets of that nature, that we can submit to a lot of different locations. And so many festivals now are calling themselves international festivals, whether they truly attract that kind of submission clientele or not. Very interesting stuff. So one more time, I want to offer out opportunity for questions from the group. If anybody has anything that they would like to know from Darian's group. Okay, thank you, Darian. I appreciate your time and your presentation. Up next, we have Kody Trent. And Kody, are you ready to present at this moment?
I have the PowerPoint on my computer.
All righty then.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, she's got it.
Okay, well then, I'll make you the presenter here.
Thank you.
I got to make sure I don't have to undo those others Yes, I do have to withdraw them. Otherwise, I'm going to have 17 co-hosts by the end of this thing. Let's see here. Where are you on my list? There you are. Okay. Making co-host. Very good.
Can you guys hear it like storming outside? It's absolutely going crazy right now.
Yeah,
I can hear it.
pretty bad outside my window as well. We're just going to forge ahead and get as far as we can get.
Sounds good.
Kody, do you need to be on that presenter list as well, or do you want to let Elle be the,
That's okay. Elle can do the slides.
okay, very good. Elle, you should be able to share your screen at this point in time.
Awesome.
There we
Okay.
are.
Mhm. Okay, can everyone see?
Yep.
Okay, so we're doing MFA film programs. And so my group is me, Ellen Moyne, Kody Trent, Cecilia Hubbard, and Nico Bravata.
Yo.
All right, and my section is up first. What's up, everybody? I'm going to be talking to you today about NYU's graduate film program at a Tisch, which is their School of Arts, and specifically the Canbar Institute of Film and Television. This is your USC. You got your USCs, your UCLAs, and your NYUs. So these pretty renowned film program. But so why NYU Tisch? Like I said, it's located on Broadway in Manhattan, New York City, New York. The actual film school is in Greenwich Village, a little bit of distance away from the actual Tisch school. But it's got a well-established, active, and high-budget film scene, which is also accompanied by a bustling, low-budget indie scene. You have anywhere from very large film festivals to indie film festivals. A lot of great stuff going on in New York City. Probably obviously the biggest place on the East Coast to probably pursue film, if not possibly growing Atlanta right now. And there's a great community of aspiring artists there. Really highly selective program, and then also the program has the academic rigor to match it as well. It's a very long program. Typically, some people can even spend up to 5 years in the program. It's very long. So, and like I said, very rigorous as well. So next slide, please, Elle. So here's some of the academic details, kind of about what the curriculum is about. So it's a 3-year conservatory, like I said, in the Canbar Institute of Film and Television. They take a comprehensive approach to developing your voice. So your first year, you're going about things in a very specific and restricted way. So your first year, you're doing 3 short films. You're doing a 4-minute silent 16mm film. So a little bit of a kind of unique program. You're actually not off the bat doing digital. You're working with film, which kind of makes you have a lot more, I guess, care with your equipment, care with, the type of shots you're getting, how much film you're using, etc. And then you do a 5-minute observational character study, which is something I had not actually heard of before at all, but thought that was really cool. It's going to be focusing on character development and whatnot. And there's some more restrictions kind of involved with that. And then you have a 7-minute narrative film, which is just a lot of the restrictions are eased off as well. I do believe there's maybe 1 or 2 few restrictions, but they're pretty much all kind of taken off. And then at the end of the first year, they screen all these for, family, friends, students, etc. And then the second year, you're going to be doing a 10-minute short. So it's kind of similar to the BFA program, in which your first year you have, you're doing your junior film is 6 minutes, and then the narrative one for your second year, if you choose to do it again, is 10 minutes. So this is where a lot of the times your specialization is developed. They really want to focus on who you are as a filmmaker. And as a lot of people are graduating this program, it's through being a writer and director. That's what most people want to pursue. But theoretically, they can also help shape the program towards your what you want if you're pursuing being a cinematographer or a production designer, for example. So that's the entire focus of your second year. And again, you go through that screening process. And a lot of these films are actually submitted to film festivals across the nation and internationally. NYU on their website, on the Tisch Academy or Tisch Institute for the Arts, they have an entire section of pretty much every single achievement that the films in this program have done. And it's pretty incredible. It shows a lot, I think, kind of the ability of a lot of the students there. And the recognition that their films get is pretty incredible. And then the third year is a self-designed thesis. This can end up being anywhere from a feature script, a web series. They don't really necessarily focus on it being a micro-budget feature, but that is obviously one of the possibilities. Or you could do another short film ranging, I'm sure, from 10 to 30 minutes depending. So this is something that, like I said, is very like specific to what your goals are in the master's program. And I just had some notable alumni here is Ang Lee, Spike Lee, Martin Scorsese, Chloe Zhao. I'm sure you all have heard of these names. They're very prominent writer directors. So here's some of the admission basics and some of the kind of how you're going to go about, I guess, applying. And this is very similar across the board to a lot of schools. This is even pretty similar to UCF's admissions process as well. So there's a $65 fee, and you have to submit like a general graduate, not portfolio, but you have to submit certain papers like you do with every other university. You have transcripts from a college you attended for 2 years or received a degree from, 2 letters of recommendation, your artistic resume, and your personal statement. So the deadline for fall 2022 is coming up. It's December 1st, and you have a 5-part creative portfolio. You have 1 film that's under 15 minutes. If you choose, that's the first part. You can have a short film, like I said, under 15 minutes. That would be the video portion, or you can choose a photography portion, which you can do like 10 stills or other works and other photography stuff. It should be noted, by the way, that you do not have to have a film degree to apply for this. You can have any sort of degree and still apply for the master's program. So a lot of people will end up coming from like other, mediums of art and apply for this. And then the other requirements are the written parts. So you have a 2-page dramatic story from NYU's prompts. So they give you a couple, let me see if I can find them right now. But basically they give you a list of prompts that you have to end your story with. So you do like a 2-page story, and yeah, it has to end with that. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I had it up. Oh, I found it. Great. So a couple of examples for those can be like, it has to end with one of these lines. So they have like 8 options, I think. One of them is like, and for the first time ever, I put on a mask. And then one says like, any questions? There's one that says, I think mom is psychic. So they kind of streamline you a little bit and, see who kind of stands out from the others. And then you have to write a dialogue scene. This is purely on kind of like your creativity, what you want to do. And then you have a 1-page feature idea, how you would, what's the story about? How are you going to fund it? How are you going to go about creating it? And then you just have to submit a headshot, and the same thing for the general graduate admissions. You have to submit your resume with a personal statement. So that would be NYU's film program. Yeah, they definitely have a really comprehensive program and a history of, having a lot of success with their films in festivals, and their alumni have been very successful in the industry for a long period of time. So thank you very much. That's my section.
Awesome. So we're going to move on to Emerson College. And this is a private college located in Boston, Massachusetts that offers a 2 to 3 year MFA in film and television. This program gives students the opportunity to explore fiction, experimental media, documentary, installation art, and interactive media. It encourages them to work with film to inform, entertain, persuade, and challenge by using both emergent and traditional media forms. Want students to understand the dynamics of 60mm and digital film and audio, similar to NYU. You work on film there. It offers 3 distinct entry points depending on a student's like prior experience in film. So maybe if you don't have a film degree, you'd start lower. If you do have one, you'd start in a different spot. It all depends basically on your experience. And this program really allows students with a variety of life experiences and diverse backgrounds to develop and inspire each other's development in film.
My portion was Ohio University. Ohio University is a university located in Athens, Ohio. It offers a 90-credit 3-year film MFA degree that covers general knowledge and core equipment skills in the first year. And then the second year, you specialize in one of a selection of tracks. And in the third year, you create a thesis and a portfolio. The specializations you can do in your second year include screenwriting, post-production, or cinematography. And in your third year, you have to create a thesis film, and the mode you can make it in can be narrative, documentary, experimental, which is similar to the BFA selection we have at our school. One thing important to know about the location is that Athens is a college town with almost a 70% population of residents between ages 18 and 24. And the demographics shake out so that the majority of the population is going to be white at around 85%. I included this because I think it's an important factor for students who are like come from a minority background, or any students that just value any type of diversity within like the cultural scene at their MFA degree. I would personally think that's a pretty important decision-making factor. Applications open for Ohio University in September if you want to apply for the following summer or fall, and spring applications will open in February of the year prior. Application does not require a GRE, but it does require you have a bachelor's degree along with a resume, personal essay on your goals, personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation, a sample of your written work, a couple examples, and a 2 to 3 page screenplay. Why is this important? I think film students who wish to pursue work in academia or wish to create higher level professional works with resources afforded to them by academic institutions should start taking the steps needed to apply to these institutions. If you decide to have a more regular academic gig and you don't want to like do a work for hire situation, or you don't think you can make it in LA, it's like really not a bad decision to go and like work at a public university.
And here we're excited. That is all.
Great. Anybody, let's open it up for questions from the group. Does anybody have anything for these folks? Well, I'll step in. I've got a couple of questions. So, Kody, are you still here, or did he bow out? No, he's here. You sounded pretty enthusiastic about Tisch. Are you thinking about going there?
I mean, I might apply. Like, I think I'm gonna apply to UCF. So I don't really know if I'm gonna apply to Tisch, but I thought it was really cool. I just thought I'd do some good research. So
Yeah. Why not? Might as well.
yeah, just $65, you know. Probably down the drain, but you never know.
I mean, they're looking for you know, they're looking for some unique personal work. It doesn't necessarily have to do with any other academic criteria, I don't think. Have you guys looked into particularly at Tisch? Have you guys looked into the acceptance rate to any of those universities?
Yeah, I think NYU was pretty varying, but I think over the past 3 years, in no particular order, I think it was like 18, 19, and 35% or something around that. So it's not impossible, but it's still that's very small still.
Yeah, it's pretty low. It's pretty low compared to other universities. I know UCF's acceptance rate for applications is something like 60%. So there's a little bit of a difference there. There's a high bar, there's a high expectation, and workmanship, originality, and inspiration. So gosh, I hope you give it a shot. Why not, you know?
Yeah, might as well, yeah.
Nico, was your Ohio University any chance the Tom Hanks endowment? Because I know that Tom Hanks's alma mater is up there in Ohio, and his name is on the film school up there. I think it's the one you were researching, actually.
No, I hadn't checked into that. All right, is that like one of the scholarships?
No, it's just some useless trivia on my part. I thought it was interesting that he was associated with a film school kind of in the Midwest like that. But
Oh yeah, it is.
nevertheless, yeah. Oh, so it is. Okay, excellent. And Elle, did you happen to notice what the acceptance rate at Emerson was?
I think it's 33%, but I'm not sure if that's for the film program overall, like undergrad, or specifically the master's.
Oh, okay. I used to work with the former director of the Emerson Film Program. She's since moved on to Los Angeles, but I know Emerson is also a good college, but it's not for some reason, it's not really a household name. Not a lot of people think of Emerson when they think of film schools. So, but I know that it comes highly recommended with a really good quality program. They do focus a lot on 16mm film. So that'd be a good choice if you were considering going there. From the group, anybody, anything on your mind, any questions you have for these folks before we move on to our next group? Nothing? We all must be doing exceptional jobs with these presentations then. All questions have been accounted for. All right, well, thanks so much for your time and your research and offering it up to the group. I appreciate it. Folks, is there another group that's interested in presenting next? Can I encourage anyone to step forward?
Yeah, I'll present next.
Josh, okay. And can you tell me who your group members comprise?
Yes. So that's Lillian Rios Ardon, Mariah Clinkscales, Corey Marr, and myself, Joshua Martin.
I got Lillian, Mariah, yourself, and one more?
Corey Marr.
Corey, gotcha. Excellent. And your genre or your topic?
Niche film festivals.
Niche. All right. Well, let me make, who's going to be in control of the slideshow? Is that you, Josh?
I'm pretty sure it's just me in here. Yeah.
All righty then. Let's make you the co-host. And if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom window, you should have a green share screen button. If you click that and select your upper left-hand tile, that should allow you to put your presentation on the screen.
Okay. I have to give my laptop permission real quick.
Okay.
Oh, what? All right, so it's wanting me to quit and reopen Zoom.
No, you shouldn't have to do that. Did you share your screen? Did you click on that?
Yeah, let's see here.
All you got to do is open up your presentation. There you go. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, we look at it on your screen. If yeah, there you go. Excellent.
Okay. So niche film festivals. So I'm actually gonna, am I gonna go right into it?
Yes, please do.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna start with the why, actually. Just why we kind of think it's important to know about niche film festivals. We think it's important because if you have a grounded view of different niche film festivals, you can have a better idea of where to submit your work and maximize your chances of getting a successful entry into these different film festivals. One I just found real quick, we didn't do research on it, but just like the Mustache Film Festival, if your, like lead character has a mustache in it, you can submit it there. Just some of these things, are can be really helpful for that. So the first film festival that we have is the Hollywood Weird, or the Holly Weird Film Festival. So the point of this is it's a showcase for truly original, independent, and DIY film and videos. It takes place in Hollywood in July, and specifically celebrates films of all genres that have a unique voice and challenge what is expected or accepted. So this anything experimental, underground, and avant-garde is welcome here. So here's the link for the Hollywood Weird Film Festival. It's also just like on Film Freeway. That's where you can apply. So submissions are accepted every year in June, for the film festival in July the following year. So you got to submit early. So yeah, and this one has it's really just anything avant-garde. So that's documentary feature, narrative feature, short film, and best screenplay. And then the submission fees are really cheap, and they range from $10 to $30. I think based on if your film's a short film or feature film. Okay, the next one is the International Comedy Film Festival. And this one's like a really new film festival. It just had its second year this year. And this one's going to be based in New England. The screening date is December 15th at the Cinemark in Salem, New Hampshire. So this is where prizes and awards are given out to the winners. It's been in person both years, which is pretty cool. And this is like, again, a perfect film festival for films that are specifically comedy. So if you're trying to break into the comedy genre, this would be a great film festival for that. And then, yeah, they give a ton of different awards, which can really help with your marketability and networking. So last, we have the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival. And this one has been going around for a lot longer. It's in its 13th year, and it's in Santa Ana, California. It takes place between September 1st and the 5th. And this is just all about the newest voices in horror, sci-fi, and fantasy. So it's specifically for filmmakers who are new to the genre of horror, or just are just submitting horror for the first time at film festivals. So I think it's really cool because it provides a home to expressions of fear, anxiety, and taboo and other uncomfortable emotions or experiences. It's not just specifically kind of, blood and gore, but just anything with like horror as just a really broad genre are acceptable. So submissions begin October 31st and end April 30th. So there's like a wide range of time that you can submit. And it's open to shorts, feature lengths, and non-English speaking films. Fees range from $15 to $30. And that's all. Any questions?
What do you think, group?
Pretty good.
I got a question that I forgot to ask Darian, who I think is no longer here. Is anyone still here from Darian's group, by the way? No. Well, having looked into the international film festivals, did you notice anything odd about any of those submission criteria? For instance, if the festival is in Europe somewhere, do you have to include closed captioning or subtitles in your films if the native language of the country where the festival is hosted is not English? Or do they accept English speaking submissions without any adjustments for local non-English speaking crowds?
I didn't see any. I just went back through before the presentation and just looked over some of those things. And I didn't find anything specifically relating to closed captioning. I thought it was interesting that you said earlier with one of the groups that a lot of film festivals are slapping international on because they can, because of the way that submissions work. Specifically for the International Comedy Film Festival, it said like, yeah, they preferred all the file formats in like digitally. So they asked specifically for digital submissions.
Yeah, very interesting.
I actually have a question related to the international film festivals that you researched, the ones that you saw. I was just, and this may be too in the weeds, but I was just curious if any of them have like restrictions or requirements when it comes to like subtitles in other languages. because like obviously if you're submitting a film that's in their non-native native language, I was curious if there's anything listed there about that, or if they just accept them in all languages and it's just like if you don't speak it, like, oh well.
Yeah. Again, I didn't see anything specific about that. I think that's just them wanting to be inclusive and say, hey, like we're open to, you know, films that are in different languages, but in terms of like specifics, I don't think they're like prioritizing the international aspect. I think that's more of a, hey, I mean, we're open to that as well. Less like, you know, we really want an international feel, so please, you know, add subtitles for all your films, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. I know, for instance, like at the Love Your Shorts, Gene was saying that he had submissions from all over the world this year. And I think a lot of the international submissions that are coming to the United States are submitting films with English speaking dialogue or with subtitling. So I was just curious what the other, you know, what the other festivals outside of the United States were asking for, whether or not they asked, you know, specifically for subtitles or not. So it's also an important distinction, right? It's an international film festival by virtue of the notion that they'll accept a submission from anywhere, but the focus of the festival is not international identity, but rather open to anyone from any country to submit, which I think is an important distinction. The other thought that I had, and I'm not sure if you gave it any consideration or not, is what the context of comedy might comprise from an audience in, for instance, South Korea, an audience in Germany, an audience in the United States, and maybe an audience, you know, say in South Africa, what the context for comedy might be. And I wonder if that's anything that we consider, or that you might consider, based on what festivals internationally you might choose.
Yeah, I think that's really important and interesting. I just like going on their page, I saw like their whole thing. Again, this was started last year, so 2020. So the pitch for the film festival was like, oh, times are tough. Let's just make a film festival that's, you know, kind of lighthearted in a way. That was the vibes I was getting from it as I was reading about it. That was kind of the inspiration for the film festival, and that's kind of what they're going for. So just general lighthearted, you know, comedy. So yeah, I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an important thing to think about. I mean, just as an added topic of interest, I saw an interview with Eddie Izzard, and I don't know if you're familiar with his comedy, but he's a UK Englishman who does stand-up comedy, live stand-up comedy, and he performs actually all over Europe and parts of Asia. And he was saying that he can do his comedy routine in French, and he can do it in German, for instance. He does it in English, obviously. But that the jokes hit on different notes in different countries, and sometimes the notes didn't hit at all. For instance, he said his comedy was kind of coolly received in France, and in Germany he couldn't gauge the audience at all, but they did clap for him. And in I think he said he was in Japan, and he was just not hitting at all with the audience. He had no idea where what his orientation was with the audience. So I think regionally your comedy might have a lot to do with the kind of audience that you're appealing to, what your comedy might be based on.
No, definitely. I even regionally, like in the United States, I was watching a video from Norm Macdonald talking about how he went in all the northern cities he went to. He had a ton of success, but as soon as he went to the South, he just had no success. There was like a clear barrier between what people thought was funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you? Do you consider yourself a comedy focused filmmaker at this point?
No, not at all. I'm not.
Okay. Well, very interesting. All righty. No citations though for any of your research. Did you do an extensive amount of research? How many total festivals did you look at before selecting these three?
Well, kind of the way that we broke it down is I kind of set up everything, set up like the niche film festival thing, made the PowerPoint, all the slides, and I'm presenting it. And then each of us kind of looked into our own thing. And I've just been looking at it here. So in terms of like how many my teammates looked into and looked up before submitting, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so these are your selections then.
These like film festivals, I didn't pick these
Okay,
specific.
they picked the festivals and you just kind of wrapped the slide presentation around their findings.
Well, no, I just like I made the thing and I made the first couple slides. I made the why. So I set up like the whole question and everything like that. And then I just had them add everything.
Okay, all righty. Can we open it up one last time to the group for any open questions on Josh's presentation? Anyone? Bueller? All right, Josh, thanks so much. I appreciate you coming in. So you're presenting alone today, right? So your other colleagues had obligations.
Yeah, I know a lot of them have class.
Yeah, tough window to hit. Okay. All righty. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for presenting. Thank you for your time.
Sure thing.
All right, folks, how we doing? We got anybody else ready to present today?
I can go.
Karlyn, all righty. Let me get you in my little ledger here. Whoops. And Karlyn, who's on your team?
It's Karlyn, just real quick, like George Carlin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And, no problem. And I've got Isabella Martinez, Selena Pasantes, and Isabel Miller.
All righty. Very good.
And they all have obligations today.
Ah, okay. All righty. And your topic was?
National film festivals.
National film festivals. A lot of film festival presentations today. All righty. Well, I'll turn it over to you. Let me make you a presenter here. Okay. Here we go. That should be working for, there you go.
Okay.
All right, take it away.
All right. So let me, hold on, move this Zoom out of my way so I can see what I'm doing. All right, we're doing national film festivals. We're getting started with something that Selena was really passionate about, the Austin Music Video Festival in Austin, Texas. So this one puts the focus on music. It's also known as AMV Fest. It's been running for 6 years, and it's dedicated to the creation of music videos. It's had real high-profile artists there, such as Childish Gambino, Spike Jonze, The Flaming Lips, and Beyonce. The jury award winners are decided by representatives from the Grammys and Billboard and other high-profile institutions. Music videos, though, can be sent from any place and be any length, and they allow for student submissions as well. And they have categories like narrative, keeping it weird, funny, cinematography is category, animation and mixed media, throwback and nostalgic, and the Overachiever Award for students. And if you want to find out more information about this one, you can check out their website, amvfest.com. Or Film Freeway has an article or a thing on them at they're right here. You can see the link, Austin Music Video Festival. The submissions are closed right now because their screenings are coming up on December 1st. So you'd have to wait till next year. And then what she learned and what we can learn from this one was there really is a festival for any type of film you want to make, and we chose this one because it pertained to, you know, Selena's interest, what she was really, really interested in. And we thought it was important to share this because it's inclusive and it allows students to apply, which is relevant to us right now. And if anybody is going to continue after their bachelor's, and a great place to visit, even if you're just a viewer, and it's a great place to network. And moving on, I decided to share information about the Telluride Film Festival. It's been around since 1974 and is a big deal. It's rather than a competition, they aim to be a celebration of the best in film. And it really is a festival that's like a love fest, a love letter to the art of filmmaking. And it's hosted premieres of Mulholland Drive, Brokeback Mountain, Moonlight, and dozens of other films that we all know and love. It's very, very selective with about 25 shorts and 30 features accepted each year. And they keep the program secret until you get there. So it starts on a Friday and you don't find out what the program is of the festival till you get there that Friday. So you just have to have faith that the programmers are going to give you some really awesome stuff to see. They welcome all types of submissions. Their one stipulation is that features must not have been shown in North America before, and shorts shouldn't already have been posted online, but otherwise you're okay. I listed the submission fees here so you could see. I think they're a little steep compared to some other more, you know, regional festivals, but they do have a discount here for student films. It's only $35 to submit. And I also thought it was neat. I found they have a student symposium where 50 undergraduate and graduate students are given special access to the festival and access to high-profile filmmakers that they can meet with and ask questions. So I thought that was a neat little opportunity. And if you want any more information, just check out TellurideFilmFestival.org. And what I took away from this is that even though it's a very, very selective, high-profile film festival, I thought it was really neat that they had discounts and programs for college students. And it's something that I kind of had to dig around for. So it just kind of goes to show that sometimes you just got to look a little deeper to find those opportunities, but they are there. And then lastly, we're going to talk about Outfest, which is in Los Angeles, founded in 1982. And Outfest is a nonprofit organization that celebrates and shares stories that promote visibility and inclusivity within the LGBTQ plus community on and off screen. This year's Outfest Los Angeles took place in August, showcasing over 170 LGBTQ plus films in theaters and online. 66% of films screened are from women, trans, non-binary, and POC creatives. So they're really making an effort, you know, to be inclusive. They accept narrative, documentary, experimental, animated, shorts, and features focus on queer experiences. And some of their partners include HBO, Netflix, Variety, and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and more. For more information, please check out outfest.org. And so Outfest isn't solely geared towards professionals, and there are lots of opportunities for entry-level filmmakers. And they do have the Young Filmmakers Project, which is centered around a selection of emerging filmmakers in the age range of 16 to 24. And it has a curriculum that includes screenwriting, pre-production, production, and post-production led by industry experts. That's an entire 6 months of learning. And then their final project is screened at Outfest Los Angeles. So that's a really unique opportunity for young filmmakers. And that concludes our presentation.
Great, terrific. Did the slide on the Austin Music Video Festival, did it say when the deadlines were for submissions? I didn't catch that detail.
It just went by, I think. Let me see.
I know you said that they just had their
Yes.
event.
Yeah, the submissions are closed because their screenings are coming up. So you'd have to wait until next year.
But there's no date listed, for instance. There's no deadline, in other words. So what's the cutoff? Is it screen? It looks like in the thought bubble, screenings are December 1st to the 4th.
Mhm.
So are we to assume then that it's like a November 1st deadline or something of that nature?
You know, I didn't research this one personally. I am the presenter. I can tell you more about Telluride if you want to know about that one.
It
But
just seems like that would be kind of a good detail to include in here for anybody who was interested, because this is a fairly unique genre festival.
yeah, absolutely.
When you first said music video festival, I thought of the Sacramento Music Film Festival that I was a participant in some years ago, and it was actually music and film festival. So it was the different implication of the title. So
Sure.
this
Two
is
things.
music videos. I think that's really cool because I don't know of any other festival doing that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see.
Interesting.
Okay, you're well, I just looked it up. But this information looks like it's a little bit older, but it looks like they'll start accepting them pretty soon and then all the way up until next October.
October's the cutoff. Okay.
Looks that way from what I'm seeing.
Okay. Well, at least that gives anybody, the information if they're thinking about submitting for next year. At least we know now, around August, we should be looking for a cutoff date then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And the Telluride Festival, that's a pretty high profile festival. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Sundance was founded in response to the exclusivity of the Telluride Film Festival.
That's funny. Yeah, I took the term National Film Festival and I tried to find something that was really kind of big and grandiose
Yeah.
and something to be the opposite of regional or niche. And so that was what I came up with that we hadn't gone over already.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's interesting because Bob Redford's impulse for starting Sundance was to offer the undiscovered and the smaller, low budget and inaccessible talent a festival that they could apply to in Colorado, and Telluride, of course, was accepting feature films and studio produced content and things of that nature, and they had more of an exclusive, higher profile, and that was sort of the antithesis of the Sundance. And then
Yeah.
they started South by Southwest because Redford's thing got too big, so it's kind of
Right. And Slam Dance as well too, right?
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We just keep branching. It's like a family tree.
Yeah, it's exploding all over now. Very interesting. Well, thanks very much. Does anyone else have any comments or questions on this particular presentation? How are we doing out there in the gallery so far? All right. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. And we will move on. Is there anyone else who is interested in presenting today?
Our group would like to go.
I'm sorry. Was there a question before we break off to another group?
I was volunteering for our group.
All righty. Let me just get some fresh paper going on here. I better take Karlyn off of the share. And I will go ahead, Ryan, and make you a co-presenter.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm having some trouble moving my fingers. Here we go. Make him a co-host. And let me close that. There we go. You should be able to share your screen and control your slide presentation now. Ryan, before you begin, I just want to ask you who your collaborators are and what your topic is.
We're talking about screenplay competitions. Collaborators are myself, Ryan Hill, Dylan Johnson, and Nick Lyon.
Well,
And Nick and I are going to be presenting on behalf of our group.
Alrighty. Screenplay competitions. Alrighty. Very well. Are you guys good to go? Take it away.
All right. So we're covering screenplay competitions, specifically, and in contrast to film festivals. We actually also wanted to start off with the section talking about why it's important. This is definitely a resource that's a lot more specifically helpful to those who are aiming for a writing career or aiming for work in writing, although it is a skill that will benefit anyone. A lot of the reasons that you should go for these are that it is very difficult to break into writing. It's as difficult as any other part of the industry, but it's difficult to get your writing in front of people and to, promise them, I swear it's good, just read it. But winning a screenplay competition where it's their job to read your work can help elevate your name and elevate your script to the people who would benefit from reading it. So not only can it further your name and your writing in general, it can further that script itself, and it's often possible for that script that won a competition to be produced, sometimes even through that competition, through fellowships or through production deals that some competitions have incorporated. There are a lot of industry professionals that are involved in screenplay competitions, often as judges or as hosts, including organizations like the Academy. And also, there are really good prizes available, including most often cash prizes. So there is a monetary incentive for entering screenplay competitions as well. But there also are intangible ones like industry connections, access to software and resources. There's one competition we have listed here where one of the prizes is Starbucks gift cards, among other things. So there are a lot of resources beyond just cash prizes, although that is, if we're being honest, probably one of the most alluring parts of the screenplay competitions. And we have 3 example opportunities. I'll be presenting the first one, and Nick will be presenting the other 2. And the first one we're talking about are the Page Awards. This is a screenplay contest that accepts features, shorts, and TV pilots, active since 2004. It is very much an international competition, and kind of to contrast, Professor, what you were saying earlier about, is it actually international or is it just international in that they allow it? This one, their entire ethos is to encourage submissions from specifically outside of the LA Hollywood area, and in general from everywhere. And on their main website, which you can see right below the logo there in the blue section, which is where you can actually access and find their submission details if you're looking to enter, they actually have a map that shows where previous winners and like bronze through grand prize winners have been located and submitted from. So they definitely believe in international and kind of democratized submission of screenplays. They want to try and bridge the gap between unknown screenwriters who aren't in the area and don't know how to break in, and Hollywood executives who are looking for fresh material. It's broken up into several smaller categories, but there is one overall grand prize winner. And the festival recently ended for the 2021 season, but it is an annual competition, so 2022 submissions are going to open up in December. You can submit scripts to up to 3 categories, and the kind of timeline for dates for awards and finalists are shown in that slide as well. And of course, this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the biggest or second biggest cash prize of the 3 that we chose, with a $25,000 cash grand prize available for the grand prize winner, as well as a fellowship that can help you further your writing. So that's the Page Awards. There are a few success stories down here. For each one, we also have listed a few writers who have made it after being in these festivals or after being in these competitions and some of the work that they've had. So Page Awards is one of the options that you can look at if you're looking to submit to a competition. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Nick.
Hello. So moving on now, we're going to talk about the Nickel Fellowships, which is hosted by AMPUS, aka the Academy. It is an annual competition. They hold it every year. Their whole incentive is to try to identify and encourage talented new screenwriters. This competition is exclusively limited to features. They do not accept shorts or TV pilots, but it is a much broader festival in the sense of you can do anything within the constraints of a feature and they will read it. There's the list of deadlines, the early bird deadline, March 3rd, and final deadline, May 3rd. Submission fees get increasingly more expensive as the final deadline approaches. The reward is a $35,000 writing fellowship, making this one the largest prize. It's divided over a year into 4 stipends, which you are expected to use while writing work over the course of the next following year. It also gives you many benefits in the sense of like you are meeting with other fellowship winners, you are making industry connections. As part of the fellowship, they offer you a lot of network connectivity, opportunity, and meetings that you would not receive otherwise if you were just a follow-up or someone who hadn't submitted into the competition, for example. And one other thing I wanted to note about this fellowship, because this was the one that I researched, if you have any kind of questions about like proper screenwriting or like expectations about screenwriting, they have a like 107-page frequently asked questions that if you have any questions about how writing works at all, the answer is probably in there. But yeah, so that's the Nickel Fellowship. We have a couple of success stories, including Susanna Grant, Ken Christensen, I can never remember that name, and then Destin Daniel Cretton, who you may recognize from particularly Aaron Brockovich, Disney's Pocahontas, The Punisher, Ghost Rider, Shang-Chi. These are writers who go on to work in the industry, not writers who take this fellowship and then have a 2-year spark in their career and then are promptly forgotten. These are all career writers who came out of this program. Okay, and then finally we have our script pipeline. Script pipeline is a screenplay competition that has separate competitions for feature TVs and for feature screenplays, and for television pilots. The competitions are held annually. 2022 will be the 20th anniversary, and it's another very network heavy screenwriting opportunity where companies, producers, agencies partner with the competition to access the work of the finalists. There are international competition, or there is international submissions, and they have a good amount of a good amount of submissions every year and a good amount of interest from the industry into what screenplays are coming out of their competition. The rule is it cannot have one within the past 10 years. They're primarily trying to encourage new writers, and you cannot have any kind of production involved in your script already for it to enter the competition. They are looking to bring writers who do not have those kind of opportunities already into those opportunities, rather than just prop up the ones who could get a screenplay produced or have won this competition already. The registration deadline is December, and you can submit into up to 3 categories. I believe it's screen features, TVs, and shorts, but do not quote me on that. I didn't research this one myself. And then the prizes, all winners get feedback opportunities for connections and chances for circulation. Top 10 get direct connections, development assistance, and private event invitations. The runner-up gets $2,500 and the winner gets $25,000. Making it a nice incentive for those writers who, when spending a lot of time on their screenplay, maybe are not taking work opportunities or other instances that could be benefiting them financially in a way that allows them to write. Right, $25,000, you can take a couple months off and finish some writing stuff.
The cool thing about this one is that this competition really leans heavily into those intangible benefits. I'm pretty sure this is the one that offered like gift cards to Starbucks as well as like Amazon and a few other things as part of their prizes for I think within the top 10. But they very much emphasize like they will get your script out there. They will put your script into the put your script in front of the eyes of people who are looking for them. And it's also very much hosted by and partnered with companies, producers, and agencies. I don't have the notes of the group member who researched this one specifically, but I remember there were a few major names of companies, including Paramount TV, I believe, who have previously hosted with or sponsored this event. So this is another great one if you want to try and use this as your entry point into a company or an agency, because this is one of the competitions who they work with frequently. And I believe that's the end of our slides. We have our 3 opportunities. Again, the links to them are there. This is actually the wrong link. I apologize for that, but I'll be posting all 3 of them in chat at the end of the presentation. But yeah, these are 3 really good opportunities that if you were interested in writing and entering screenplay competitions, you could submit and enter them now. I'm involved in, Nick and I are both involved in the screenwriting club, and we actually know a few folks who have entered screenplay competitions and had some amounts of success. So this is definitely a really good opportunity that you could start working on now as a stepping point into your career if writing is something you're going for.
Yeah, that's the end of our presentation.
That's what we got.
All right, very interesting. So I had a couple of questions about the presentation. So amongst these 3 competitions, what is the there's no exhibition venue, I take it. So your scripts are sent in and they are they come across the desks of the judges. But is there did you get a sense that there was any sort of exchange of feedback for any of the scripts that are submitted? In other words, unless you win, there's really no affirmation, or is there, in terms of feedback regarding your script and your material and how it was constructed? And do they offer you any criticisms that you can, if you're not selected, take with you into your rewrite process?
I can only speak for the nickel one because that's the one that I researched, but I know that they will do some feedback when you get into like the quarterfinalist level or like the selection level rather than the initial weed out.
Okay.
And then past that point, it is pretty much just giving you feedback. The entire point of the fellowship for nickel is to work with the new writers to create something original. Right, to take that $35,000 and use it to spend a year on writing.
And from the little bit, since I was mostly in charge of putting the presentation together, I did a little bit of research on all 3 just to catch myself up. And that mostly holds true for all of them, where you pretty much get feedback in some cases as a reward or as an award. You get feedback if your script is accepted, but that also does emulate the actual script sales market, where it's hard to really get any kind of attention other than buy or don't buy, or like any kind of coverage aside from buy or don't buy, unless it's something that they're interested in, because a studio won't really put the effort into trying to improve a script if they're not going to try and make it. So it's similar to that in that you won't really get feedback unless you are accepted and awarded.
Yeah, the studios certainly aren't engaged in academic enrichment. That's for sure. But it would seem, and there, I didn't get any indication, or maybe you mentioned it and I was taking notes. Were there submission fees for any of these competitions? And if so, then I would hope that there would be some sort of feedback in exchange for your submission fee, even if you didn't get an honorable mention or win the award.
Most of them do have fees, and unfortunately, until you get to like a rewarded level, they typically withhold feedback.
Yeah. Okay. I noticed that Script Pipeline is indicating that studio heads, producers, and so forth will have access to your material, but it doesn't say whether or not there's any outreach.
And
Okay.
that is also a concern that I've seen some people talking about just socially while I was looking into this one, because I was kind of looking into Script Pipeline a little bit as well, just because that one is the one that intrigued me most for my own writing. And I saw some people talking about the requirements that a script hasn't been produced and things like that, and concerns about how that might affect ownership and things like that for your script. So that is definitely a concern.
Well, that's something that's easily avoidable. I mean, I discussed that actual point in my writing classes about, ownership and the intellectual property rights of the author and so forth. And there's kind of a gentleman's agreement in Hollywood, which seems kind of naive, but nevertheless, it is there, that there's really no way that you can, pitch or submit an idea to a studio head in complete faith that at some point someone's going to see that and try to take your idea. But it's generally not done because these people aren't really in the business of stealing somebody else's idea. They're in the business of buying a good idea from whoever wants to, step forward and offer it, or whoever gets through the minutia of security and defenses with some of these studios. But there's a real easy way to really sort of quell your fear, and that would be just get a WGA registration. And anyone can do that, and you don't have to be a member of the WGA to register your script. And what it does is it puts a timestamp verification on your document with the WGA. So it's not like having a copyright on your story. It's really hard to copyright a story because stories are so. Arguably, there are very few variations on a relatively few number of themes, and it's really the distinction of characters and character situations that are, that you can protect with copyright. But what the WGA does is, in essence, is say, look, from the date that we received this document, we've seen no other script that has the same earmarks, and therefore we're saying that this person, submitted this as an original idea on this date, and we verified it and put it in our registry, right? So that if months or years later somebody comes up and they have actually seen and stolen your idea and produced a movie from it, that you would at least have some grounds that you established ownership prior with the WGA. They can't protect you in court. They won't go to court with you. If you want legal protections, you can always copyright your script with the U.S. government at the copyright registry. But as I show my students in my writing classes, I mean, all you have to do is take a book like 20 Master Plots by Tobias and look at how you can manipulate an original idea, change a few basic parts of the structure or details in the story structure, and it becomes a new idea for all intents and purposes. And so the idea is not that your ideas are sacred and are easily going to be stolen. It's really the industry itself is taking sort of measures and a certain amount of pride in its ability to be able to submit with confidence that you're not going to be exploited in that way. They're really interested in producing content and profiting on the finished content, not on the arguing about the particulars of whose idea it was at what point in time.
To add on to that, to my understanding, producers are generally more interested in execution than ideas at times, right? Because ideas are easy to come up with. It's the execution that is actually hard, requires a skilled writer to accomplish. And so the ideas are not what's valuable in your screenplay. It is the craft.
Well, I mean, arguably there are things that are unique about your script. For instance, your characters, the types of characters that you come up with, and the life that you breathe into them as a writer are certainly your most sacred ideas, and that is what constitutes your intellectual property. But yes,
Right.
the reality is producers are in the business of producing content. They are in the manufacturing business. And so it's much easier for them to pay you for your idea and just tweak it than it is for them to hire a bunch of writers to sit around for a year and come up with a new idea, or even to copy your idea. That's really not their business. Their business is in execution, and that's where they're making their money. So I mean, I have a number of friends who write out in LA, and none of them seem to be terribly concerned about theft. It can happen. And you know, if you go through the basic preventative measures that I've described to you, get a WGA number, you know, submit only when asked to submit. If you submit blind submissions, you're opening yourself up to impropriety, of course, you know, and most agents won't accept blind submissions. They have to ask you. So you have to meet them in some way, get a meeting, and they'll ask you for a submission, then you provide it to them. And that's kind of the way to protect the transaction. Do those basic things, take those basic measures, and I think you'll be fine. But everybody's pretty much submitting under the same conditions out there, even the experienced professionals. Any questions from the group on this presentation? Oh, I did want one clarification on one detail, and I think it probably pertains to all of them. So I just wanted to make sure we were or weren't drawing a false equivalency in terms of the winner. So the winner of these script competitions, is that script that wins the competition merely subject to the financial award, or does that script also get a production deal? Or are those two unrelated things?
None of these promise production.
Okay.
There are competitions, I believe, that take an emphasis on we will do our best to get your script produced. But I mean, even the Academy, the Nichols Fellowship, like the number of scripts that have come out of that and been genuinely produced is a low ratio. It's just, that's how script writing works. One out of every 5 gets actually made.
I'll bet it's not even that many.
Yeah.
So really what they're doing, and this is, in a way, this is another version, I suppose, of a pitch session, but it's kind of a wholesale pitch session in which there's a lot of people throwing their ideas into the hat, and then they're picking the ones that they want to take a closer look at. But the whole thing kind of smacks of a pitch session. And so the idea that what they want to see is your ideas. They want to see the kind of storyteller you are, the way you think about story, whether you use structure or not. They probably want to see, you know, things like how you develop or evolve your characters. And then your story may not be anywhere on their radar in terms of the types of things that these producers who have access to your material, as I see here on the script pipeline page, but they have their own ideas about stories that they want to produce. And so they want to know if you're the kind of writer that they think they can assign an idea to and have you produce something for them that's unique in their original idea. So they're looking for a quality of writer more than they're looking for the story ideas, I think.
A lot of times these scripts also just get stuck in being optioned, and you can never attach a director, so it just never gets off the ground, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get stuck in pre-production hell.
Great, terrific. So to the group, anyone with any questions on this material before we change presenters?
If you submit a script, they're not stopping you from submitting the script anywhere else, are they?
Generally, no, but read the specific rules of the competition you are submitting to. I've seen exclusivity, but it's not common.
Even if it's not common, it still exists. So best to keep an eye on that.
Well, I I don't know if there's any legal recourse for them to say you can't submit your script anywhere else if they're not going to name you the winner of the competition. And even if they do, at that point, they've got apparently a whole docket of producers and companies that are going to have access to your material and therefore the ability to option it. So if they're not paying for the IP remains your possession and you can do with it pretty much what you want.
Okay, because I've seen some FAQs that say that there are certain companies that like if you ever share ideas with them, it belongs to them now, and they may or may not do it, but they're still claiming it because they're powerful enough to.
Well, if you're creating IP and a potential client says, I'll read it, but once I do, it becomes my idea and I may or may not pay you, I wouldn't sign any contract that has that kind of language in it because it's your IP until they want to license it from you.
Of course.
So, if you're signing contracts that's giving away your rights to your own material and not getting paid for it, perhaps you're in the wrong business.
Read your contracts and get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. That was a good question, though. Anyone else have any follow-up on this presentation before we change presenters? All right. Who then wants to volunteer to go next?
Colin and I will.
All
Well,
right.
I would like to ask Michael a question first.
Go ahead.
That's okay. So my group is asking, would it be possible to present, our presentation next Thursday? That's what they're asking.
Yeah, I don't, let me count how many we've actually had today, because I think we have a total of 15 teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to have 7 today. That would leave 8 for next week. Yeah, I think we can manage that. Because I see that it's only 10 to 5 right now. Technically, we have till 5:50. And if we had to squeeze in Sean's and then a group after him, that would be 8 for today, with leaving 7 for next week. So yeah, I think that would be okay if someone needs to bow out today.
It would probably be best if we did 8 today, because better do it while we have the time, because it's not guaranteed next week.
I would agree. Sean, who are your co-conspirators?
Okay, well, Karlyn pretty much led the project, and he did an amazing job. Karlyn Basnight, did I say it right?
Yeah, Karlyn Basnight. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got Elizabeth Bettis and Sebastian Marcano Perez, and then of course me, Sean M. Steinman.
Okay, and your topic is
regional festivals, but then again, when I think about it now, regional, national, international, it could be any, depending on the point of view.
Well, my point of view as your curating instructor is there were separate categories for international, regional, and genre. So let's go with your original answer, which was regional festivals.
Yeah, because
it's regional.
That's the one we chose.
Okay. All right. Very good. So who is controlling your slide presentation? Is that you, Sean, or is it
Karlyn is? I'm going to be submitting the links to each festival as he's talking
in the chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Karlyn, I'm making you the co-host now, and you share your screen and present your presentation from your laptop.
Sounds good. All right, can you hear me and see everything, guys?
Looks good.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
yes,
awesome.
And yes.
So unfortunately, Elizabeth and Sebastian couldn't be here today, so Sean and I are going to half up the presentation.
Yeah,
of course
already. So go ahead.
Yeah. So we have regional film festivals. So that's of course for the southeastern United States, what we focused on. And the first opportunity we have up is the Tryon International Film Festival. I actually heard of this film festival from my uncle who lives up in North Carolina, and he was actually commissioned to, he owns a printing shop up there, and he was commissioned to print out the shirts for the festival this year, which is pretty cool.
Oh.
So yeah, this is Trent International Film Festival, also known as TRIFF. It's a gold certified film festival via Film Freeway there, which is also pretty cool. It shows both short and feature length films, student and professional films, and as well as local and international films. It was co-founded by Bo Maneater and Kurt Gulwitzer back in 2014. So they just had their, I believe, 7th season just earlier this month. It takes place annually in Tryon, North Carolina, and part of their branding is their town is known as the friendliest town in the South. So they kind of bring in that homeliness in part of when doing the film festival. And I think that's part of why it's gotten so many, such a good reputation via Film Freeway and its gold certification and all. So this past season, the 2021 season ran from October 8th through the 10th. And they also had streaming options this year as well. So last year, of course, because of COVID and quarantine and all, they had the festival. However, it was all done virtually. So they started doing a streaming option last year, of course, and they're going to continue doing that from now on, it seems. So while the physical festival ran from the 8th through the 10th of October, you could sign up for what was called a VIP all access pass. I believe it started at $30, and that gave you the option to stream the films from online as well, which is pretty cool. And though that was open after the physical festival, so when started October 11th and is actually still going right now, ends November 11th. The 2022 season is slated for sometime next October. It takes place always in October. The official dates haven't been announced yet, however. And then, of course, along with being able to submit or screen your own films to the festival, they also offer plenty of opportunities to volunteer with their many, with just helping out the festival there, or they also do workshops with industry professionals and different kinds of events like that. The festival has a pretty good award slate that they like to give out at the very end of the festival run. As you can see over here, they have best full-length feature, best full-length documentary, best short doc, best short dramatic, best student film, a best human rights and human dignity award, best overall film, and then an audience's choice as well. And yeah, I think that's about it for this one. I left the links for the film festival itself here, and then the freeway link as well, which, by the way, the only way to submit your film for this festival is through the Film Freeway link. It's obviously closed right now because they just had the festival earlier this month. I'm assuming maybe after the streaming festival is over, they might start submissions for the next season, though I couldn't find any information on when the opening for next season would be. But yeah, so it seems like a really fun festival. And from what I've heard from my uncle, he was able to help out a little bit there. And he said it's a very nice venue and very friendly people run it. So.
Great, terrific.
All right, so the next one is the Nashville Film Festival. This was Elizabeth's slide, and I believe Sean is going to run through this one for us.
Hello. Okay, so Elizabeth worked on the Nashville Film Festival, otherwise known as Nashfilm for short. It premieres work under the umbrella of work cinema, American indies, documentaries, and short form projects by filmmakers from all career levels, including beginners. So you don't need a resume to get in, pretty much. They accept films, screenplays, VR and 360 films, and this festival offers creators conference to connect to filmmakers, from lesser experienced filmmakers to most experienced. They have something known as juries, so that play as professional guest roles in offering critiques on the films within the festival, and winning shorts are eligible for Academy Award considerations. So what's really special about this festival is that they don't just do movies. They also do music as well. They offer a music program here, which consists of average ordinary songs and even music videos. There are music supervisors, artist showcase, artist submissions, panels from both beginners and professionals. It's like a convention, you know, and alongside sponsorships that keep the festival going. The festival offers foundations and grants such as scholarships to certain art colleges like the Metro Arts or the Memorial Foundation, which consists of film programs within their colleges. Entry fees range from $35 to $95, depending on entrance category. It's held in Nashville, Tennessee, to honor the roots in Music City. And Nashville pays a lot of praises to promote films that are big in the music category. Next, the festival was held this year from September 30th to October 6th. And there's no set date for next year's yet, but it's going to be around October though.
Okay.
I hope you understand that there was a little bit of stuttering in there. So if you need me to repeat any.
No, that's fine. Do you have another festival to talk about?
Yes, we gotta talk about mine. That's the next one. Okay, well, since we needed something a bit more local, Sean decided to work on the Central Florida Film Festival, otherwise known as CenFlo for short, which is held in Mount Dora, Florida, otherwise known as the Festival City. It started off more locally before becoming international later on, since it became a popular hub for attending filmmakers to meet and network along with local audiences, being entertained with indie films that they otherwise would not get to enjoy on a regular basis. Despite it being a 3-day festival, a number of submissions began to grow from year to year. And in 2008, CenFlo became a fully fledged international film festival, being recognized by top film artists from the United Kingdom. So that's the history. So the whole reason this festival was made was to make a brand of festival different from the others, to show independent film as a true art and see firsthand to how they can be made and to prove to others how they can be preserved. The thing about independent film is that there's no corporate control, so the developers could stay true to their own visions. But of course, at a cost, they need to be responsible for their own content. But this festival offers so many different genres, including horror, sci-fi, comedy, thriller, documentary, and one of my personal favorites, animation. If a film artist does not have an independent film, though, they can also accept anything as small, such as trailers, which could still be a big deal itself, showing a quick sneak peek on what the artists can do, something of what their stories could consist of. They also accept sponsorships and partnerships. This festival also offers workshops behind the scenes, so people can learn about how the work is made, you know? There are guest speakers from professionals, community outreach from the little guys, for the little guys, and information on whether or not the movie is viewed or won any awards. So the people at the festivals, they do their homework on the stuff that gets submitted. Orlando used to be pretty big in film, so festivals like these really want to bring that back. So if one would like to see a bunch of different content made by the little guys, that could become much bigger. The next festival is from January 21st to the 23rd of next year at Epic Theaters, Mount Dora. Single screenings go from $10 each. Movie watcher passes, they're basically for free reign for like a whole day. That's $35. And then there's the 3-day pass that goes from $85. And one other thing, they're pretty big on safety here to protect the health of all participants. So odds are masks are mandatory, even if you've been vaccinated. But then again, that's really no big surprise. A lot of these festivals are probably like that. So if there's any other information that you might need about the festival, there is a frequently asked questions page. It is recommended to read it out if one were to submit anything in the event. Waivers, they write this in bold in their page. Waivers do not guarantee official selection into SendFlow, nor does it qualify one free filmmaker pass. It was like written in bold in the page, so I thought it might have been pretty important to say in case any of you want to submit anything for the festival.
All right.
All right. And then our last page here, which was what Sebastian put together, he kind of just implemented all of our research together into one slide to address the why question and what we could take as film students into going into film festivals when we get there. Obviously, film festivals are extremely important for all filmmakers, and networking is one of the most important aspects of getting out there for aspiring filmmakers like ourselves. These 3 festivals gave us plenty of opportunities to look into taking the next steps into career-wise. Seeing contemporaries work is a great way to be informed of what films are being made and the trends that can arise within the business. Also, just I've been to the Orlando Film Festival, for example, and got to see some in-person Q&As with the directors and such, which is a really cool way to interact with people who have made films already, people who are looking to go around the festival circuit nationwide too. Networking presents opportunities for filmmakers to connect directly to other filmmakers like that, other business strategies, business insiders, producers, executives, and all that. And then volunteering is a great opportunity to get closer to the festival circuit and system and see how everything works, be able to meet the people behind the scenes running things, and also get to meet filmmakers and people like that. And then, of course, presenting your own work is a great opportunity to understand the whole as well. Get feedback from both audience and other filmmakers and people running the festivals as well. And so, obviously, like some of the other groups have said, get out there and submit your stuff to festivals or screenwriting competitions, things like that, and just get going with things. And two particular opportunities that were pertinent to the research festivals we did. There was, at the Tryon, there was a workshop with a former Palme d'Or winner, Frank Callow. And then there was a panel at the Nashville Film Festival with Clemence Talendier, who is the director of the theatrical sales of Kino Lorber. So obviously those have since passed, but plenty of other opportunities will be available with the next season of these film festivals. And so you just got to be on the lookout for those. And they'd be really cool to check out if able to go. And so I believe that about wraps up our presentation then.
Well, I do want to bring up a little honorable mention that we didn't add to the slide though, because I just wanted to quickly mention about the Orlando Film Festival that's actually going on right now. It started today actually, and it's going to end next Thursday.
All right, very good.
I haven't been doing links lately, so better submit them.
Yeah, please do in the chat, because of course we've lost the majority of our audience at this point, but we won't have access. I will, but the class won't have access to your slides after this presentation. So if you put the link in the chat, they will be able to access that afterwards in the video.
Okay, I'm even adding the Orlando Film Festival link. So that's going to be a pretty fun Halloween, isn't it?
Excellent. So just for the benefit, I guess, of the recording at this point, have you guys, it might be worth stating the the Film Freeway gold designation. If I can actually take us to their website really quick if I share my screen. Here's can you guys see the Film Freeway homepage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
basically, when you browse the festivals at the Film Freeway, and I recently learned this myself from Gene Kruckmeyer, you will see an entire listing by category, and you can go through, page by page, looking at different festivals that you might want to submit to. And for instance, here, Toronto Short Film Festival, 8 years running in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and it has a gold designation here. So gold designation is feedback from attendees, feedback from other filmmakers that have submitted to the festival. And you'll notice that a lot of these have gold, but not all of them have gold designation. Like here's the Vagrant Film Festival in Belarus, and they have no gold designation. So the indication of a gold designation by Film Freeway, it's not a guarantee of exemplary treatment, but it certainly is a credible endorsement for the credibility of a film festival if they're listed here and given their additional endorsement of gold. So that was the significance of that particular detail in that initial festival presentation. So I thought that that was an interesting feature that they've added in their website to give you some idea of which film festivals are considered a little bit maybe a cut above in terms of it could be the way they handle their submission documentation, could be their judging criteria or their accessibility. There's a number of criteria, I'm sure, associated with a gold designation, but I think it's an important distinction to make. So I appreciate that detail in your presentation. Let me get out of that. And let me get back to my homepage because I have lost myself here. Here we go. Anyway, stop the share. Any questions from the remainder of the group here for the benefit of those still in attendance or those who will watch the recording later?
I won't hold my breath though.
Well,
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate anyway those who have stuck around this long to participate in all of the presentations. I think.
Professor.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Sorry, would I be able to go today?
Yeah, we've got a half an hour left for presentation. So if you're ready to go and you've got,
Okay.
Are any of your compatriots with you?
No, it'll just be me today.
Okay. Well, let me put you down on my ledger here and ask you who your collaborators were at this point.
So it is myself, Cameron Blanco, Daniel Cabrera Ortiz, and Stephen Franklin.
Stephen with a V or a PH?
PH.
And I have Cameron, Stephen, yourself, and one more?
Daniel Cabrera Ortiz.
Danielle. Okay. And your topic was?
Film conventions and workshops.
All right. Excellent. All right, then. You can take the floor. I'll make you a co-presenter here real quick. And I think I've got to take Sean off now.
No, Karlyn. Karlyn was the co-lead.
There we go. So Alejandro, you are now a co-host, so you can share your screen at the bottom of your Zoom page. There you go.
All right. All right, and you can see that?
You can see it just fine. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, see it.
Great. So we did film conventions and workshops. So to begin with, we have the company Red and their workshop called Reducation. So Reducation is a course that helps people who want to improve and develop their hands-on skills, of course, pertaining more to the RED system. But there is a wide range of skill sets that they go over, and this can apply to students or professionals that want more practice. And so RED instructors offer insight on their workflow process and their digital acquisition, resolution, RED code, and their reliability. And so this workshop is available to anyone who happens to have a RED. But if you do not, which I imagine a lot of people would not just have a RED camera sitting around, they have rentals. So this workshop is not for just anyone. It is quite expensive. So this is a major investment, and maybe you're not going to want to do this immediately out of college, but maybe down the line, if you find that you want to get into the RED system, or some requirement somewhere requires that you have knowledge about this workflow, this might be something you want to then invest in. And then with the rental kit, that would bump you up to $1,000. But again, it's a major investment to think about. And so this year, they're offering classes from November 1st to the 3rd. And so this is a program that goes on yearly. And so they have a little curriculum here where on day 1, they talk about their history, the ecosystem, and exposure, and all those dynamics. Then on day 2, they get into setting up the camera and their menu system, lens mounts, things like that. And on day 3, they go into talking more about the future of production and data management. So you can have a little overview there about the things that they will be going over if that interests you, or you think that that is necessary to add to your skill set. So next, I'd like to talk about NAB Show, because NAB Show is a major event. It's very popular, and it covers just about anything in the industry: television, streaming, post-production, and just so much more. And exhibitors from all around the world come, and there are lots of exhibitors. I mean, it's a massive show, and people say you can't even view every exhibit. It's just not possible. There are so many. And so major companies that attend are, just to name a few, Sony, Blackmagic Design, and Aperture. And a big positive about this show is the sheer amount of people that attend. Thousands and thousands of attendees come to this show, and it's people of all walks of life and people at all stages of their career. And so this is essential for networking, and you can connect with so many new people and even get a chance to speak with industry professionals or business leaders. And so in terms of networking, this is one of the major advantages of attending this event. NAB Show gives you exclusive access to new products. That is a lot of the focus of NAB, is the new products, the cutting edge technology. People often go there to see what is new for their aspect of, or their career choice, whether it be with cameras or software. So that is a major advantage, is getting even a chance for hands-on with brand new products. Another great feature at this event are the lectures and workshops that are given by industry leaders. So here, there are numerous workshops and lessons that leaders give, and you can choose whatever appeals to your interests, and you can learn about what's new, what's changing in the industry, or the advice that a specific filmmaker might have for a certain workflow or piece of equipment. You can learn from so many different people through these panels that they give. Outside of NAB, it's not just the show itself. I think a great additional feature that comes with this event is the outside exhibitions. A lot of people in town also set up their own exhibits in hotel rooms, or well, not hotel rooms, but in yeah, in hotel spaces. Hotels might have a space where other people can set up their own exhibits. And so this just increases more options, more things to check out, more people to meet. So some of these external events are free to attend, and you might as well go if you're already going to be at NAB show. Some are an additional expense, but you can just pick and choose what you feel is really necessary and beneficial to you. Also, there are lots of parties. And so if you want, you can attend a party. Maybe that is another opportunity to connect with some more people. So NAB show, it takes place in Las Vegas. It occurs annually and it lasts for a few days. This year it was canceled, but next year they plan to have it on April 23rd to the 27th. So price was something I was a bit unsure of, since when I went to their website, there was nothing regarding price, but based on some other articles that I saw, they were suggesting that the price could start at around $150. And it is my understanding that there are levels that you can add on to this ticket price depending on other things that you might want access to at the show. And so outside of that, just make sure to plan for hotel and transport accordingly. And so if you want to learn more, you can join NAB Amplify, which is their own sort of website or portal that they have for the show. And so registration happens through Amplify. But a great benefit of Amplify is that when you sign up for it, it also offers exclusive content curated by NAB. So they're adding more basically just benefits to you. And so NAB Amplify is free for now, but I did read on their website that perhaps in the future they might look to put stuff behind a subscription wall. So just something to look out for. And so right now their website is unfortunately a little barren, but the show is still quite a ways out. I noticed that before this year's show was canceled, on their archived version of the website, they had a lot more information regarding even some services that they can give you regarding the show. So hopefully those details will start getting added as next year's show comes closer. So this next one is actually a little different. This is more for if you know somebody who is still in grade school, or you have some involvement in the community or in your community. This one is for, it is called the Enzian Theater Youth Filmmaking Workshop, and it is in Orlando. And so I think the big benefit about this one is to get younger people interested in film and give them access. If they're not interested in film school, having these workshops is another way for them to learn. And so it's also a way to, or it's also something for you to think about getting into giving workshops or giving back to the community. And so this workshop that we found here, it teaches low budget filmmaking techniques, and it's a one-day event for students who are in grades 8 through 12. And it is taught by Donald Tynes, who has 16 years of industry experience. And he's also a professor at Full Sail University. And so it really is just an introduction or another way to get students learning about film. So they can use this as a starting off point if they, before college, or it could be inspiration about taking certain workshops if maybe they don't want to go down the film school route. So overall, this, we wanted to just summarize here with the importance of what we're sharing here. And so again, the programs like the Enzian Theater Workshop, it's a little bit too late for us, but we kind of added it in here to as something to think about, this idea of giving back to the community, having, once you've established yourself more in your career, creating workshops or volunteering at workshops where you can basically train the next generation. It does a lot for younger people to know that they have support in their own communities. And so it's just something to think about. Then we have our other programs, or like NAB Show and Reducation. These are, again, investments that you can make in yourself to network with other people and improve your own skills. And so really things like this can be, depending on what you feel is necessary for you, things like this can be quite invaluable sometimes. And stuff like NAB Show, especially, the networking is so crucial in this industry, and you get to meet so many people. It's really a great opportunity just to get out there and meet people. And so experience is really important. And so that's why we included these things here today. And so that is all. Oh, there's also, we're excited.
Excellent. Very good. This is a good presentation, Alejandro. I like it because you've decided to go with the informational presentation regarding private education, personal education of filmmakers outside of the film festival experience. Specifically regarding the Reducation program, I think that due to the high cost of the enrollment fee, which really pales in comparison to the cost of the investment of a red camera package in general, but regardless, if you're going to spend $800 to $1,000 on an education program for a specific brand, I think there are two major audiences that appeals to. The working professional camera assistant who's about to take a job involving red cameras, and they need to be updated on all of the nuances of the software, the red code processing,
Right.
the raw systems, the R3D image files, the red magazine technology, and the batteries and so forth. You're definitely going to want to take a Reducation course, because the money that it costs you to learn about that camera system is going to pay itself back to you when you go on that job involving those cameras. The other audience I think that's going to benefit from a Reducation program would be somebody who is on the verge of making the investment in a red camera package, and you want to wait until you're absolutely sure you're going to buy a red camera and take this course either immediately before or just after you buy your camera, because of the constant initiation of new models in the product line. You wouldn't want to take, for instance, a Reducation program this year and then wait to buy a camera for 2 years, because by the time you're ready to purchase that red camera, a lot of what you got in your Reducation symposium might be, outdated information. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the two types of people I think benefit specifically from the Reducation program. And if you don't want to take the Reducation program and you find yourself in Los Angeles, know that they have a fairly extensive retail outlet in Hollywood that also has education space and demonstration space and so forth. So you can go to the Red facility in Los Angeles and you can get a nice presentation of the Red ecosystem and what it's all about, what it's comprised of, without paying the money and sitting for a specific lecture about something that may or may not be relevant in another year. So, and I think that in order to attend, I don't know if Reducation has a virtual program at this point or not. I know it used to be offered at their facility on Highland in Los Angeles, but I don't know if that's still the case. So those are things to consider. As far as NAB goes, I was an exhibitor there 4 years running. I went on behalf of the Cinemills Lighting Company in Los Angeles and Burbank. The fees, the biggest attraction certainly is the exhibition floor, because you have upwards of 100, 150 exhibitors that, and all the major brands are there. It's an annual event that everybody across the country looks forward to. NAB and Cinegear. Cinegear West is in the LA Convention Center now, and NAB is in Las Vegas. It used to divide time between Las Vegas and Orlando, and I think that the Hilton is right next to the Las Vegas Convention Center, and that's kind of a tandem partnership there. I think they made an appeal to the NAB group that handles the show every year, and they've decided, I think, to stay in Vegas now from here on out. So I don't expect NAB to come back to Orlando anytime soon, unless there's a prior booking issue with the Las Vegas Convention Center. The exhibition floor is the major draw, and the trick to the exhibition floor is to have a vendor relationship that is going to be exhibiting at NAB that year, and just call them up and ask them for free convention floor tickets, and then you don't pay anything to get into NAB. What you pay for are the symposiums and for the specific panel discussions that they host upwards of 3 days prior and throughout the course of the exhibition portion of the convention. So there's a number of educational programs you can attend that do cost extra money, but you don't necessarily have to pay to merely attend the exhibit floor attraction. That can be accessed for free. I was actually going to attend this year until I found out that they canceled it. So I was going to go out. I haven't been out there in 8 years, so I was kind of interested in going, but the COVID sort of prevented that. But and I got an NAB, and I actually put the link and the invite on all of my classes that I'm teaching through Noam Kroll's color correction company there. Was a Color Tech or something. He was giving away a link where you could get free passes to the convention floor for the exhibit.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's the trick around the NAB access without paying any registration fee. You just sign up and you're allowed in for free. You just can't go to any of the extra lectures or seminars. Those cost that extra money. As far as the parties go, they're often hosted by the major vendors. Like Kodak years back always had a private party. It was invite only, where you go upstairs to the suite in the Hilton, and you would go to a cocktail party with open bar, and you get to meet people from Kodak. Fuji did the same thing. A number of major, Canon did that. I mean, a lot of those companies. And part of the reason for that is that when the convention floor is under full swing, there could be 60 or 80,000 people coming through those doors, and it's a 2.5 day exhibit process. So the first day is a full day, second day is a full day. The third day, by 2 in the afternoon, if they open at 9, by 2 in the afternoon, the vendors are starting to tear down their booths and starting to put away product and stuff. So it's kind of like a half day on the third day. And there's a lot of people, vying for the attention of the very few technical reps and booth volunteers that they have working the show. So those private parties are a way to access those people and bend their ear for a little while with a cocktail and not have to worry about some other guy kind of tugging and trying to get attention away from your conversation to ask a question about a widget, and it's also sometimes a nice opportunity to meet exclusive guests of the vendor, or to meet higher ups in the structure of a company that you're interested in, if you wanted to talk to them. For instance, if you're heavily invested in Canon equipment and you have a production company of your own, and you want to have access to somebody, an engineer or somebody, for instance, that wasn't working the booth, but they're there for the benefit of the cocktail party, and you get the invite, then you get access to those individuals that you wouldn't get on the show floor. So there's lots of reasons to want to go to those private parties, and they're typically invite only. Although some of the vendors, the costs involved with exhibiting at NAB are enormous if you're a manufacturer. And so some of the smaller manufacturers, the boutique manufacturers, and those who can't afford, for instance, I mean, the minimum buy-in for a booth at NAB is $10,000, and that's without any of the add-ons, additional tables, chairs, power in your booth if you need lights or if you need access to power for some reason. None of the pipe and drape, for the most part, is included in your booth presentation. So your minimum buy-in is about 10 grand, and it can be as much as 20 or 30 grand for the smallest booth that they have. And then it's, the sky is the limit. I mean, in years past, I can remember the Canon booth being, maybe 100 by 100 feet, and Matthews would be there, and they would have a huge space, like 60 by 60 feet. And those presentation positions, not only are they in high traffic areas within the convention hall, but they are also lumped in with other manufacturers that are paying big dollars for their booths, so that you can go to the premium section of the exhibit floor and see Canon and Blackmagic and Matthews and Arri, and they're all kind of lumped together. And then as it spreads to the edges of the convention center and into some of the the side salons, you're going to get into some of the more boutique and obscure brands that didn't have the money to be on the main salon or down the main hallway. But they're there. You just got to hunt them down. That's why it takes probably a day and a half to see all the vendors at the show that you might want to see. It's a long a long walk through the Las Vegas Convention Center. There is a lot of space there to cover. So, but it's interesting, and anybody who can afford to attend. Plane tickets really aren't that expensive right now. You can fly out there for a couple $100s, and a lot of the hotel rooms are oftentimes very modestly priced if they think you're going to gamble there. So you might get a deal. The problem is NAB is such a big draw that you have to sort of make your bookings in advance when you know that you're going to go, because finding a hotel room in Las Vegas at the last minute for NAB is kind of a tough thing to do.
I imagine.
But it's an amazing event if you can go out there and experience it. And Cinegear too, for that matter, if you could ever make it to Los Angeles, or I think they have a Cinegear East now in Atlanta, but it was canceled this year. Those events are really great ways to meet the manufacturers. If you're invested in say you're invested heavily in Blackmagic, you're not going to get to meet some of those guys probably ever. Grant Petty is, a guy on a YouTube video as far as you're concerned. But at a major event like that, you might get to meet him and talk about his product and, let them meet you as an investor in their brand and communicate with those people and talk about your passions. It's a really good opportunity. So I endorse those events highly if you can access those in any way. You should make the pilgrimage at least every couple of years to see what's new. It's also an opportunity to see the cutting edge products that are out there. Yeah. So if you're looking for the latest, I don't know, let's say Canon makes an announcement about their a new series of L series glass that they're going to come out with, and they're going to premiere it at NAB. Well, you're going to see it there first. And you can go and you can handle the prototypes, or you can look at working models depending on how far along they are in production. And you can see it and you can decide if you want to make the investment. You can play with it, pop it on your own camera. Maybe after seeing the thing, seeing the physical product, you may have different opinions about it and whether or not you'd want to use it or whether or not it would be good for your workflow. These conventions, these major ones, and so there's NAB, Cinegear, the Consumer Electronics Show is a good one. There's one here in Orlando that started today. It'll be today and tomorrow. You can go there, and I put another link on all my classes, including this one, I believe, where you can attend that show at the Orlando Convention Center for free with a vendor ID, with a vendor passcode. And so these are good opportunities for you to go and meet vendors, talk to them, ask them questions, see their latest products. And especially when we had like the LED paradigm shift and the digital paradigm shift out in the industry a few years back, a lot of people, especially people that live in the flyover states, we'll call them, They don't have much access to this. I mean, if you live in Los Angeles, you can go to any one of these vendors. They've all got storefronts in LA. Orlando, we've got nothing here. So if you wanted to go meet the people from Miller Tripods or from Sackler or Black Magic or Nikon or, you know, any one of the manufacturers, Cineo or Aeroflex, you know, there's nowhere for you to go in Orlando. So people like us, we go to Cinegear, and all the vendors are in one place. So in a couple of days, you can make the rounds and see everybody. Great swag opportunity as well. You get free hats, catalog, t-shirts, you know, all kinds of stuff they're giving, these manufacturers are giving away to get you to their way, look at their brand. So excellent reference there to NAB. Terrific. Of the remaining group, now that I've sort of taken the air out of the room, does anybody else have any questions for Alejandro on his presentation?
I got one question for you, but I'll wait until Alejandro's questions are done.
Okay. Well, Alejandro, thank you very much. I guess none of your other collaborators were here today, so you were flying solo. I congratulate you on that.
All right, thank you.
It looks like, unless we have, George, are you still there? Are you interested in presenting, or are you just kind of hanging out for the information?
I was just hanging out for the information. My classmates were like, you know, I told them that yes, we could present next week, and they're like, all right, cool, that sounds good.
Okay, that was
So
your, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, these were really good presentations. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I got some information out of this too. So, you know, everybody profited from today. I think that's really terrific.
The best teachers are the one that's learned from the students.
Sure, why not? I'm not embarrassed to say it. You know, you can't know everything, right? I know I got my strengths and my weaknesses, and I focus on that.
We all do. As long as we know them, we're on the right track.
Sure, absolutely, right? This is a group effort. This is not an individual effort. So you'll learn that soon enough. Well, great. Well, thanks to everybody for the virtue of the recording. Thank you to all of the groups who presented today. This was day one of 2 days of presentations for Capstone 1, Film 4434. We'll have more presentations next week at the same time. That'll be November, I think that's November the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just verify that. 4th, I'm sorry, November the 4th. We'll have the remaining presentations from our Capstone class. Of course, this is open to anybody who now benefits from the link that I've sent out in various forms through announcements and emails and so forth. Come by for the questions, come by for the information, come by to meet the Capstone students and meet one another. I know some of you I've met for the first time here this afternoon. I'd say in person, but that's not exactly true, but via Zoom. We've met now officially, so that's cool. That then is going to conclude the presentation portion of the show. We do have to break at 5:50, which by my watch and my Apple clock is about 8 or 9 minutes from now. But I will take any outstanding questions from other topics we have covered in some of these other Zoom meetings, if anyone has anything.
Can I just add something real quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Karlyn.
You were asking me earlier about the deadlines for the Austin Music Video Festival, and I was wrong, so I just wanted to amend that.
Well, that's true.
They released all the deadlines for next year, but assuming they're the same from this year, they have an early bird deadline in April. Their regular deadline is early August, and then the late deadline is early September.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they really want to see your content by August for a December demonstration. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay. So wow, that's a lot of lead time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, it's their ball game. We play by their rules, right? Their field, their rules. But they do have a late submission. You said early September. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't say on here whether there's an extra fee for that, but
probably
a lot of times there are.
Okay, well,
yeah, and it looks like it's through Film Freeway for them. That's where their link leads.
Terrific. Yeah, that's a great system, the Film Freeway. I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for amending your presentation. That's important information. It's good to know. So thank you very much for sticking it out and offering that to us.
Definitely. I gotta hit the road, but thank you all, and I learned a lot today.
Thank you very much for attending. I appreciate your participation.
Catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.
5:44. We got about a few minutes left. So if you have any additional questions or outstanding topics you want to cover in these few minutes, I'm happy to open the floor.
Sean, just wanted to ask you if you were going to go to the Orlando Film Festival at all.
I hadn't planned on going. I did think that I was going to try and get to that convention that's happening down at the arena this week, but it appears that I might not be able to get to that one either at this point. Turns out that yours truly will be working on Saturday with the local IATSE chapter, Local 631. So I'm doing that on Saturday, and I think I'm going to spend tomorrow in preparation for that. So I did not plan on attending, but if you want to give us the details, if you're going next week when we have our weekly meeting, just give us a rundown of the highlights of the event. That would be terrific.
Well, I'm not going every single day though. Like I haven't decided which days I'm actually going, but I'm really gonna think about going, see some of the stuff, hand out some business cards. Already posted mine on the professional materialist assignment.
You know what? You just reminded me of something that I wanted to mention about the NAB show. It was stated it was a good networking opportunity, and I suppose it is in a certain way, but events like that really are for owner operators, independent production companies, and so forth to meet their service provider relationships in person. So
Right. Okay.
meeting other filmmakers and things, yeah, you can if you're focusing on meeting the people who are also going to meet their service providers, then yes, you will be amongst your ilk in that respect. The extent to which you want to reach out to strangers and introduce yourself is, of course, entirely up to you. But I think for the most part, it's about meeting your service providers in person and getting to put a face with a name.
Mhm.
That's right, and try to get our feet in the door if we could.
Yeah,
a little earlier.
I don't know what manufacturers can do to help you with your film career necessarily, but they can certainly be a tremendous support to you. For instance, if you're a young cinematographer and your career is just getting started, but you've decided to invest, let's say, in an Alexa package to make you a more attractive cinematographer for some of these low budget productions, then ARRI is going to be an important relationship for you because your equipment is going to be responsible for producing the content that you're working for and collecting the paycheck for. And it's important sometimes to have that support, especially if the camera, God forbid, should break down on you on a job. You have a relationship with them. They know who you are. They know what camera you've bought from them. And they can get on board and help you get up and running, as quickly as possible when they know that your career and your income depends on it. So this is all about the business aspect of working in the film industry.
Well, and it's also good to maybe they might have some signups over there too, like in case they need help with some of their stuff, like they release some of their stuff and they're like, hey, we're making something else. We'll have some signups just outside the theater, something like that.
They don't tend to broadcast those, but they absolutely do. You're right. They might be looking for beta testers for their next product. Or they might be looking for volunteers to work their booths. I mean, sometimes that can be considered a little bit of a badge of honor. If you're a working professional and one of the manufacturers asks you specifically to represent their product at something like NAB and answer questions broadly to the public about their product lines and how to use them and the efficacy of their brand, that's something that is a notable accomplishment to any professional. So that's really important. So you're absolutely right. They do sometimes offer opportunities like that, but it's usually on the QT. You got to know them, and then they'll open up and let you know what kinds of opportunities they're they're offering. They generally don't offer that broadly to the public, though.
All right. Well, I appreciate the information then.
Sure. No, you're right. You just got to know who to ask.
Right.
Great. Anyone else have anything that they want to add before we call for an adjournment here?
I wanted to ask what were your thoughts on the whole Alec Baldwin situation with the whole, you know.
Oh boy, with a minute left.
No comment here.
The hot button topic of the week. Yeah. I spoke to a friend of mine out at the DGA yesterday, and he gave me some insight into the content of the crew and the sort of the sentiment on the ground out there in Albuquerque, and not a good thing, not a good look for the film industry, not a good look for unfortunately for trade unionism. I mean, at the same time, the IATSE is precariously negotiating with the producers union over new contract benefits and conditions. We have some numbskull out in Albuquerque who is running a loose ship and getting people killed. I mean, it's a bad look. I know that a number of individuals involved in the incident have histories of negligence and have unfortunately damaged reputations regarding their prior incidences and behaviors. And I know that there was a walkout of the union crew member, the crew base on that show, consistent with the IATSE negotiations. They were specifically unhappy about the benefits and conditions on their show. I know the producers brought in non-union replacements. We refer to them affectionately as scabs in the industry, who crossed the picket lines and went to work on this production. And unfortunately, this is the result when you bring in temporary non-union and presumably unqualified replacements for quality union staff. And these people, they don't know the system, they don't know the situation, they're coming in raw and fresh. They might not have the proper certifications or education, and accidents are more likely to happen in a situation like that than in any other. I happen to know that the person who was handling the firearms was not a qualified armorer. I've heard that through the grapevine. I've heard through the grapevine that the AD staff, particularly the first AD, was somebody who had been reprimanded before for not giving safety meetings and so forth. And these details were reported in the Washington Post, I believe, as well. So there's a number of things that apparently didn't take place. Safety meetings apparently weren't happening. Armorers weren't present on the set at all times with the firearms, and the firearms were left unattended when people went to lunch, which is not consistent with good health and safety standards. It's also been brought to light through reporting at the New York Times and the Post, if I'm not mistaken, that the firearms are used for quote unquote target practice by unnamed individuals from the crew in their off hours or in their lunch hours. And then those weapons were not checked and recertified by an armorer before they were brought back onto the production set, which to me is an unconscionable action. There should never be live rounds put into firearms used in film production. There's absolutely no reason for it. In my own experience in the past, whenever there's been firearms on the set, they've been kept under lock and key until they are working that day, and then they're brought out by the armorer who is with those firearms the entire time they're on the set. He's the only one who handles the firearms. The ADs do not have jurisdiction to handle firearms. I don't know why any union AD would put a hand on a firearm on a movie set when they do not have jurisdiction to do so. In fact, there are permits involved in a situation like that, which it's my understanding the production company did not have. And so a lot of inconsistencies in what we would all consider good standards and practices within the industry. When you're shooting quarter loads, we call them, on the set, they are reloaded shell casings that have no bullet. They have a wax or a paper patch that holds the the quarter load gunpowder into the casing so that you can get some muzzle flash. That's kind of an outdated mode of using weapons on the set, though. A lot of production companies, particularly companies with big budgets for post-production, are doing muzzle flash and doing things like that with CGI now. There's really no reason to have full loads in the gun at all. Or, well, full loads there's never a reason for that. Half loads for dramatic muzzle flash, quarter loads for normal muzzle flash, and for the sound that the actors can react to if there's gunplay involved in a scene, for instance. It's hard when you're doing CGI gunfire for the actors to know exactly when to ad lib their recoil performance and so forth. But if you've got a quarter load in there with a little bit of muzzle flash and a little bit of a pop, it gives the actors something to work with, when they're in the course of performance. But there are no bullets involved in that. Those are reduced load shell casings that have special primers in them and everything. When you're talking about a Western, I have worked on Westerns, and when you're doing close-ups that involve the pistol and you can see the end of the cylinder in the pistol to camera, they'll put special fake bullets, in essence, in the cylinder so you can see the ball ammo poking out the front of the revolver, but there's no powder in the casing and there's no primer in the casing rim, so there's no way for that bullet to become a projectile. There's just no ignition component to that system. So apparently none of these details were strictly gone over by the folks on this production, from what I'm hearing. I wasn't there, so I have no expert analysis to offer you. I can only offer you my anecdotal knowledge and what I've heard from industry professionals and through the press. So nothing that I've heard was good news. So I think it's unfortunate. It reflects badly on the industry that's already in jeopardy of its reputation, especially in the midst of strike negotiations and stuff. I think it's just a bad time for individuals to take stupid pills.
Right. Such a tragedy.
Yeah. And that's my running commentary for what it's worth.
Yeah. Stupid pills.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were actually a thing. I might just add that to one of my content, just like a little bottle of stupid pills. Like, did you take your dose of stupid pills this morning? And I'm like, but at 8 this morning, I had to take it with breakfast.
Time released extra strength stupid pills.
Oh, I gotta write these down.
All right, guys. Well, I think it's about break time. We've gone a little bit over. That's okay. The chats, all of the links that were put in the chat will be transcribed into metadata when I download the recording of this from Zoom. The physical recording will go up on YouTube, but I will have the metadata for the links if anybody needs them. You can also, copy them from the video, I suppose, by hitting the freeze frame. But if you need a link, let me know. Otherwise, I will motion to adjourn because it is pushing 6 o'clock at this point and some of us have other obligations. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Second,
Yes.
third, fourth, into infinity and beyond.
Okay, Buzz. All right. then, I'm going to adjourn this meeting for today. Thank you for coming. And I'll have it up on YouTube by later this evening, and then we'll do this again once more next week.
All right.
Ciao
Thanks,
then.
Thank you.